You think Mr. Owens is a good prime minister?
I think he has had his 9 years and it's time to move on.
Hello, JPU family. Welcome to another episode of Jamaica Politics Uncovered. If you are new to this channel, welcome. Returning subscribers, welcome back. So, guys, one of our subscribers sent me the link to this interview that Mark Golding did about 24 hours ago. And though I did not watch the whole thing because it was a little over an hour, and because what I saw, the little that I watched, was laced with omission and lies, I just couldn't watch the whole thing. Or at least I didn't want to spare the time to do it. But what I saw of the interview, I have to make a comment on it. The first thing that I'm going to comment on, the video started out by asking Mark Golding if he thought Andrew Holness was a good prime minister. His response, he thinks Andrew Holness had his 9 years and it's time for him to go. Really? Mark Golding, who cannot write a proper budget speech, is going to come tell Andrew Holness that it's time for him to go? No, that's not how we do it. In Jamaica, the people decide, not Mark Golding. What kind of answer is that? You're rude. You don't get to come in and push out. I'm not Peter Phillips this. You're not going to come push out Andrew. I know so it work. Andrew is putting him plans and him resume to the people and the people gonna decide. Now, if you as the opposition leader, so-called, wanna make a case, it should be based on integrity and policy. Now, let us start with policy. Mark Golding had nothing to say at the current budget debate against what the government policies and proposals are. Nothing. The second thing is, you guys have already tested Andrew's integrity. Uno cannot bring nobody before the court to accuse Andrew Holness of stealing anything from them. As much as Uno call him thief, Uno can't bring nobody before the court to accuse this man of stealing anything. So that fell flat. So you cannot just come and say, well, he's been there 5 years, 9 years, 10 years, and it's time to go. No, that's not how we do it. Next question, the interviewer asked him about his background. Hear what he has to say.
So question, why is it's a problem? If let's say you were British, right? Because I know that Edward Seagal was a born
American. Sit in parliament. You can be a Commonwealth citizen, but you cannot be a non-Commonwealth citizen. Okay. That's how it is from 1962.
So his answer to this is that we in Jamaica since 1962 can sit in the parliament if you're a Commonwealth citizen, but if you're not a Commonwealth citizen, you can't sit in there. Guys, we not already go over this already. We not already look on the constitution and interpret the constitution. We not hear the whole of the lawyer them come out and talk. We not see people over in Australia and different parts, New Zealand and all over there, go through the same thing, and it no matter if you're Commonwealth or not, the Constitution says what it says. Now his argument is, oh, I renounce because we did a poll and 58% of the people said no, they don't like that, someone is in the parliament or trying to seek to become prime minister with dual citizenship. No, Mark Golding, you were in violation of the Constitution. And that is that.
Strictly speaking, the Constitution allowed me to be a dual citizen because I was a Commonwealth citizen and a Jamaican. So there was no legal reason to give it up.
This guy just does not believe in abiding by our rule of law in Jamaica. He really doesn't believe it. He does not.
Before I was doing this interview, I told somebody who's big in politics. I'm like, I'm going to interview Mark Golding. And they're like, saying like, I'm really rich. I'm like, for real? Like, yeah, rich. So why politics?
So he went into this whole thing about how he had his startup at DB&G and did very well, which turned into Proven Wealth. But Mark Golding didn't tell the truth about DB&G and Proven Wealth. He certainly didn't talk about how, he made all that money at the demise of the Jamaican people. He didn't tell those dark stories about how he came by all that money. He even said that his father, who was in Jamaica working at UWI as a professor, didn't make a lot of money. He said that. So basically, him say, yeah, true DB&G and some get rich, but him not taught the dark side of the story for the Jamaican people.
Thing. So I put myself forward a campaign about 2 months, and the delegates chose me. So I became party leader and leader of the opposition. But that was in November 2020. So that's how I am where I am, you know.
So he gives this chronological detail of how he came to be the president of the PNP. And Mark Golding failed to mention that in 2019, he helped Peter Bunting overthrow Peter Phillips. He completely and totally omitted that. The destruction and the demise of the PNP. He completely left that part out. He also failed to mention that he bought the PNP for $10 million, promised the workers $10 million, which they have yet to receive. He omitted that information too, you know? So it's like, this guy's, this guy's so fake, it's unbelievable. Another thing is, he was asked by the interviewer about his parents. He said his father came from England, but his mother grew up here. He didn't tell the interviewer, say, his mother was born in England. His mother was born in England. But the reason why Mark Gordon failed to tell people that his mother was born in England is because that side of his family owns slaves in Jamaica. He never tells anybody that his mom was born in England. He hides that. He omits a lot of stuff. We don't really know this guy. Nobody at all, from his mother's side of family or his father's side of family, has ever stood beside him or stood with him in Jamaica as leader of the opposition and embraced him and support him and say, hey, this is my cousin, this is my brother, this is my nephew. Nothing. The only people that must stand up beside him are Peter Bunting and people like Matalan. Not no family member, no next of kin or anything like that. That's crazy to me. But yeah, he omits the information about his mom because of the traceable connection to slavery. The investigation is already done, and it was found that his mother's side of family owned slaves in Jamaica, St. James. I am wondering now if Mark Golding paid for this interview, because the heading of this interview was Mark Golding, Andrew Olness, and the Illicit Eight. This guy that interviewed him, he said he never interviewed a politician before. This was his first time. But you know, Mark Golding them underwater, they said that they were doing poor communication, and they're trying to get in the space of, you know, YouTube and talking to everybody. So I wouldn't be surprised if they paid for this interview. I'm not sure. But for the fact that them put in the look illicit aid something there, you know, trying to undermine, still going on this anti-corruption thing, which fell flat basically, because we already know Mark Golding's FinSac activities and what that cost the Jamaican people and the Jamaican economy. So when time it come on to integrity, I don't think Mark Golding has any moral authority to speak on that. But guys, in closing, there's going to be an emergency press conference today by the opposition after their admission in Parliament yesterday that they did not come to the Parliament with a budget debate. They came with an election manifesto. People are wondering what they're coming to talk about in this press conference. Are they coming to put a budget forward, you know, or to oppose anything? We'll see what happens.
Mark Golding in the House saying that the finance minister was misleading the House, that they never intended for all their proposals to be implemented within year one. However, the point was made in response by Minister Williams that you were debating this current budget. And so the assumption ought to be made that the numbers you're presenting or the proposals you're presenting are for this current financial year, which I think is a fair enough point as well. So the opposition has now called an emergency press conference for tomorrow. And my expectation is that the opposition is going to present their actual figures for their proposed budget, their alternative budget, their set of proposals, because they came with a lot of them, and what those proposals would indeed cost. And so we're expecting, that would be my expectation from tomorrow. And I would say if the opposition, if the PNP comes to that press conference tomorrow without their financial plan, without those numbers, it'd be a waste of time. What is the point of an emergency press conference if you don't have the numbers to rebut? Fayval Williams says it will cost the country almost $50 billion and put the country in a deficit position. You need to counteract that and tell us, what would it cost by your estimation? Is your plan feasible? Is your plan practical? Remember, this is an election year, and elections can be called at any time this year.
This man took up a job him can't manage, can't find level-headed, smart people to put around him to get him ready to go into an election, and he's suffering. It's terrible. Anyway, guys, this is Jamaica Politics Uncovered. Keep it locked here. Make sure you subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.